lack a... Look, I wanted to say we lack a seriousness there, but oddly, I think that lacks the seriousness of our problem. Here's what I mean. As a nation, we don't focus on anything that matters anymore. And it's not as if it's just some people on the street corner, so some hippie on the corner with a sign in his hands. At the highest levels of power, at critical positions, we are focused on everything that doesn't matter. In fact, we're focused on insanity most of the time, which that in and of itself would be a problem. If America was the only country on earth and we were focused on all this crazy stuff, it would still be a big deal. But we lose sight of something as Americans because we've been number one for so long. We're used to being the best. We've been the best my whole life, been the best your whole life, no matter how old you are, but that's just what we've been. We lose sight of the fact there are other major nations on this planet making moves, and because we've been number one forever, we forget that they want to be number one, meaning they have to knock us out of that slot. It's not a small thing, it's a massive thing that the oil-producing countries of the world are currently locking arms. Xi Jinping joining arms with Vladimir Putin. At the same time, they're brokering deals with Iran, Saudi Arabia. Let's not forget they're doing military drills with Venezuela, largest oil deposits in the world, and let's throw in North Korea and their nuclear weapons as well. We won't even get into South Africa. You don't think about South Africa because it's way across the pond, full of resources. These countries are joining together, and they're joining together to knock us off. They are focused on knocking us off. What are we focused on? Well, this.
You know, I literally, as my sister would say, I wrote the Violence Against Women Act with my own paw. Truth protection for the underserved communities, including Black, Latina, Brown, and Asian American, Native Americans, Pacific Islanders, LGBTQ survivors.
Remember this. When we talk about things like Russia and China, like I just did, Iran, Venezuela, when you think about them like a country, you're probably missing the boat. I'm probably missing the boat. Xi Jinping is a human being, just like you. Vladimir Putin is a human being, just like you. And just like you, when they watch things like that on TV, they come to some conclusions. When Xi Jinping and Vladimir Putin are sitting down for some egg rolls and goulash or whatever those two eat when they're together, what do you think they think when they see the American... What do you think goes through their head? Do you think they think they're in a good spot to knock us out right about now? I'd say they do. When they see that the Department of Defense has a group of military doctors, Department of Defense, the DOD, talking about puberty blockers for 7-year-olds, what do you think they think? Do you think they think America is ripe for the picking? They do. They read all this stuff too. They know what's going on in this country. It's all on the news because what's going on in our country isn't even hidden. All the endless filth and idiocy we celebrate and focus on, we do it on television. Our leaders brag about it. And Xi Jinping is right there with his TV remote, laughing with all his military advisors. Ah, ha, ha, look at America. That's the God's honest truth. When John Kirby goes on television and says our foreign policy is worried about the LGBTQ thing, what do you think Vladimir Putin thinks when he watches this?
And President Biden has been nothing but consistent about his foundational belief in human rights, and LGBTQ plus rights are human rights. We, again, back to the earlier question, are never going to shy away, be bashful about speaking up for those rights and for individuals to live as they deem fit, as they want to live. And that's something that's a core part of our foreign policy, and it will remain so.
What do you think that new alliance of nations thinks when they watch video like that? Did you know, let me ask you something. Did you know we still have 175 Americans in Afghanistan, according to our own Secretary of State?
There are several Americans who are being detained by the Taliban. We are working to secure their freedom as we speak. Americans who identify themselves to us, American citizens who identify themselves to us, who are in Afghanistan, some of whom have been there since the withdrawal, some of whom went back to Afghanistan. There are about, that we're in contact with, about 175. 44 of them are ready to leave, and we are working to effectuate their departure.
Does the #1 nation on earth beg a bunch of goat herders in Afghanistan for our citizens back? Or does the #1 nation on earth tell, deliver me my citizens back or you're all going to die? That's what the #1 nation on earth does. Do you think China would get on their knees and beg the Taliban to return 175 Chinese citizens to them? No, they wouldn't. Because China is interested in being #1. You know what? Maybe I spoke too soon, though. Maybe we shouldn't go in there guns blazing to get our people back, being as how the Taliban still have over $7 billion in our military equipment. They're shooting our M4s and flying our helos around still.